Today we're going to do something that we've never done before. We're down in southeastern Minnesota on a brand new 56-acre property that we just acquired, and we're going to not only walk you through the design and the plan and what we plan to do on this property, but we're also going to walk you through the numbers. We're going to walk you through the purchase price, what we plan on putting in from an input standpoint or renovation cost, as well as what the market would suggest we'll get from a return standpoint when we go to sell this property. So buying land is super fun, it's exciting, but one thing you always want to have is a plan. You want to understand the market for the property that you're buying, and you want to understand what you can get from a return standpoint. That way you're able to enjoy the property while it makes money for you. So we're going to walk you through the design and the numbers. Let's first start with the design. So there's one commonality across all of our designs, and that is it's dictated by access. This particular farm isn't that big, and it's got one access point. That access point is on the northeast side of the property, and it actually comes in to this big, beautiful ridgetop field. Now, the ridgetop field, it's overgrown. There's not a lot of deer sign, but based on the potential and the high ceiling it has, it really needs to be the centerpiece of this design. So we're gonna build a design around this big field while incorporating the access into it. So this field sits at the highest point of a long bluff, and it sets up really well. So you gotta look past that lack of deer sign and look at what it could be with the proper design and not what it is right now. So first step in renovating this field is we're gonna take out the row of trees on the north part of the property. The way it sets up right now, those trees really don't serve a purpose. You know, in 90% of our designs, we're actually bringing habitat into a property. We're planting trees, we're planting switchgrass, but the way this property sets up and the way the access comes into this field, it really doesn't serve a purpose. So we're gonna clear those trees, and we're actually gonna strategically leave a little island of trees towards the middle part of the field that's gonna play a role in a later part of the design. So once we get those trees cleared and we've got the structure of our field established, we're gonna come in here and we're gonna do two things. The first thing is we're gonna burn off that old fallow grass. The second thing, we're gonna come in here with dirty deeds, get the nutrients back into the soil, and really prep that soil so that we can have good quality food plots for the remainder of the year. The field is prepped, it's ready to be planted, and we're gonna break this field into two sections with a lot of underlying details underneath it. So the first section is gonna be standing corn. We're gonna run standing corn from the northwest corner of the field all the way to the southeastern corner of the field. And it's not just gonna be one line. There's gonna be some intentional curvature and a lot of details that go into why we shape it the way we do. And when we show you our stand placement in correlation with our access, it'll all make sense. So standing corn is gonna make up about 60% of this field. The remaining 40% is gonna be standing soybeans, but not just standing soybeans. We're actually gonna come in here and overseed those beans with big sexy brassicas. That way, deer feed on the leaf tops all early season. When they fall off, those brassicas are gonna come up, and deer are gonna have the option between bean pods as well as green brassicas. So at any point in the year, depending on what they're craving, how warm it is outside, they're gonna have everything they need to offer in this plot. So they won't have a need to go anywhere else. So there's two low spots in this field where the water already runs off. Rather than start from square one and build out water holes, we're gonna actually cut our costs a little bit and leverage what's already in place. We'll come in here, reshape them a little bit. We'll take the berm and the perimeter of these water holes, and we'll put down comeback kid and hot chick clover and chicory. That's a practice that we've had a lot of success with on our other plots. Again, deer come in here, they get a drink, they nibble on some greens, and then they feed their way into the eggs. So two water holes on different ends of this plot that both have different topographical features that feed into it, and you're hunting different deer. All right, blinds and stands. We're gonna have two blinds in this island, and we intentionally left this island to be able to do just that. The first blind is gonna be on the northwest corner of the island, and that's gonna be able to shoot that northwest water hole, as well as deer coming into the soybeans off of that west bedding point. The second blind is gonna be more towards the east part of the island, and it's gonna be able to shoot the southern water hole, the southern ditch, as well as the two bedding points that come up from the south. The third blind is actually gonna be a ground level blind in the standing corn on the east part of this field. All 3 of these blinds, you're gonna be able to come in from the access point on our electric bikes and get into the ground blind or the 2 standing blinds without any of the deer having any clue that you're coming in. Super quiet, there's no line of sight from the food plot up to the access points, and that's exactly why we placed the standing corn where we did and why we shaped it how we did, to act as so much more than a food source, but really an ability to create advantages to be able to hunt these deer. So from a stand standpoint, we're actually gonna leverage the 4 corners of this field, and we're gonna get double sets slightly in the timber that can shoot both the field edge as well as the timber. So that way, come rut, we've got options in case we wanna be able to hunt all day and get deer cruising through the timber. So stands are gonna be a lockdown ladder stand with a hang on above it. That way we've got comfort, we can film out of it, or we can bring a family member to hunt with us. But the fields and the 4 corners of the timber are all accounted for, and we're still only penetrating less than 1/3 of this property. Now let's talk scouting. Just like we do on our other farms, we're gonna leverage the technology from the CuddyLink system, and we're gonna put our home camera, or the only cell camera we'll need on this property, on this island that we left. From there, we're gonna link probably 10 to 12 different remote non-cell cameras that we'll place throughout the course of this field, as well as those bedding points. We're gonna be able to gather all the intel from this field, from the timber. We'll link directly to that one camera. That one camera is gonna send us that information wherever we are, and we're gonna know when to come hunt this field and which blind or stand to come hunt. One last detail I wanna touch on before we get into the numbers is why we pushed the majority where that deer activity is gonna be towards the south. And it's simple. You take a look at Onyx, there's 2 bedding points off the south end, 1 off the west end. It works out perfect. All right, so let's break down the numbers and just the overall concept of what a comp on this type of property would look like. And that's important when assessing what you want to pay for a property as well as what you can get out of it. So when you take a look at comps in this area from the 40 to 80 acre range, you're gonna find a range of recently sold comps from $4,000 an acre all the way up to $8,000 an acre. So the purchase price of this property was $290,000. $290,000 over 56 acres comes out to a little over $5,100 per acre. Now, we plan to put about $20,000 into the renovations on this property through food plots, excavation, seed costs, etc. So when you take $290,000, which is our purchase price, you add $20,000 in inputs, you get to an overall cost of $310,000. You divide it by 56 acres, you come out with an overall cost of $5,500 an acre. Now, the way this farm is going to be set up with a ridge top like this and beautiful panoramic views in this type of a hotbed area, we can expect to get from this type of property is going to be somewhere in that $7,000 an acre range. We might get more, but we typically like to be conservative in our projections. So the projected return on this property, once we get through these renovations, is going to be somewhere around the $90,000 or 25 to 30% mark. It's a good example of a relatively inexpensive farm that's going to yield a pretty sizable return. And land is the only investment in my portfolio that I'm genuinely excited about working on it and improving it. It's not just about the numbers, it's about creating memories and experiences along the way. And you can't do that with a stock. You can't do that with a rental house and whatever other investments are out there. Land is truly special, and you can make money while creating memories and having fun and enjoying it until you either need to sell it and make some money, or until you pass it on to that next generation. And what a lot of people don't realize is you don't need to have $1 million to be able to buy land and make money off land. You can buy more inexpensive pieces of ground, still make money off them, and you don't need to have all the money up front. There's different ways. You can do a contract for deed, you can work with a bank, you can utilize collateral that you have, you can go in with a group of friends. There's a variety of ways that you can acquire land and enjoy the benefits that landowners get. And that's one message that we want to pass along is, you may not be able to buy the same size property that we are or that we're showing today, but there are options out there for you and there are benefits for you to have.